Hi, my name is Michael Williams, and I work with professionals just like you whose stutter has been getting in the way of their success. And I help them confidently say what they want to say without fear or stuttering. Now, if that description fits you, I want you to tune in to what I'm about to say. Because what I'm about to share with you in this next little series of videos is based on what my very best clients have asked me to provide for them. And it's based on what my very best clients have told me that works for them. That is, I've created a tool and a process based on the feedback and the input of my best clients. They've said, Michael, this is what I do every day, and this is what works for me. They've also said, Michael, can you develop something like this? This would really help me if you did this. And so I developed it. And that's what you're going to be seeing today. Okay? So, if you've been out there and you're a professional and you know that you're just scratching the surface of your potential, you know that you'd like to speak up more, you'd like to speak out more, you'd like to be able to take a leadership position, you'd like to go back to school, you'd like to be more social, you'd like for people to take you more seriously, but your speech has been holding you back. Maybe you speak really fast because maybe you just want to hurry up and get it over with. Maybe you want to speak really fast because you want to make sure that you don't stutter. Maybe you have this fear of speaking in front of groups, or whenever you get ready to speak in front of someone of authority, all of a sudden your mouth just does stuff and says stuff that you don't want it to do. Your brain, your mind just kind of gets really cloudy. You forget what you're going to say. Maybe when you're about to speak or you're about to give your opinion, all of a sudden you simply can't say what you had planned to say before. Maybe you had practiced and everything. Maybe you've got the notes, but you just can't say it because you begin to stutter and stammer and all this other stuff. So if this describes you, again, I want you to tune in, because this tool and this process is exactly what you need to help you become an excellent speaker, to help you become a superior presenter. So what does it mean when we say immersion or immerse yourself? Well, think about water. When you jump into a swimming pool, let's say, right? You are immersing yourself in water. That is, you are completely engulfed, completely surrounded, completely covered by water. So when you immerse yourself in a process, or if you immerse yourself in information, then you are completely engulfed, you're completely covered by this information, completely focused on and involved in the information. What I've discovered is that if you want to improve your speech, it also means that you have to improve and change your mindset and your beliefs. And I'll give you some examples a little later. So let me say that again. If you really want to improve your speech, and if you struggle with stuttering, be it persistent stuttering or situational stuttering, if you stutter all the time or most of the time, or if you stutter just sometimes, there's going to be some things that you're going to have to change with regard to your mindset, right? The way that you think, your attitude, and your beliefs, You're also going to have to change the way that you actually speak, right? Your speaking style. How do we do this? Well, one of the things that we do is we help you create a brand new speaking style, right? We provide you with some skills that excellent speakers use, that superior speakers use. So this isn't, now listen, this isn't just about not stuttering. This is about you becoming an excellent speaker. So some of the skills that you'll be learning, right, if not all of the skills that you'll be learning, are skills that excellent speakers use. And my clients tell me this all the time. I was watching my boss. I was watching this person on TV or that person, and I noticed they were doing many of the things that you're teaching me. Exactly. So again, this is not therapy. This is not therapeutic, right? This is not something that's helping you not stutter. This is something that's helping you become better than the average speaker, the skills that you'll be learning. But you're also going to be learning skills that help you feel and act and project greater confidence and authority. You're going to be learning skills and a process to help you communicate with greater clarity, Okay? You're going to be learning ways to help you change your mindset, that is, change what you say to yourself. Have you ever anticipated a situation and said, you know what, whenever I have to introduce myself, I always stutter, I always get stuck. Whenever I'm in this situation, it just always goes bad, right? Or you have a presentation coming up and you're thinking about it and you're worrying about it and you're losing sleep. And so that's a mindset change, that's a belief change. Or you feel like I got to hurry up and I got to get this out. That's a belief and a mindset change. Now listen to me. We're not just saying that all we have to do is do some affirmations and change your mindset and magically your speech is going to change. Remember what I said. We have to change your mindset, beliefs, and when I say change, I really mean replace with new ones. And we have to change what? Your speaking style, the way that you actually speak. Because some people think when they watch my videos, well, Michael Williams is talking about changing my attitude and my mindset and my beliefs, and that's all that I have to do, and that's fine, but well, what about some of this technical stuff? What about how we articulate and how we pronounce and diphthongs and all those kinds of things? Well, we actually work on helping you replace your speaking style, but not in the traditional way. We'll talk about that a little bit in some of the other videos. So I want you to follow me here. If you're a professional and you need to not just not stutter, that is, you don't want to go into a situation. Let me give you an example. Let's just say that you have a presentation that you have to do. And all of the professionals that I work with have presentations to do, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly. Let's say that you have a presentation that you have to do. And let's say that you have a colleague, and you and this colleague are competing for a management position, leadership position. And your colleague is an excellent speaker, right? Your colleague's a great speaker. You have just gotten to the point where you don't stutter, but not necessarily an excellent speaker. So you both give this presentation, and you don't stutter, so you do okay. But your colleague does a great job. I mean, just knocks it out of the park. Well, who do you think management is going to look at and say, wow, okay, we're going to give this person this leadership position. They did such an excellent job on their presentation. Are they going to give it to you? They said, well, did okay, but at least you didn't stutter, right? Or are they going to give it to the person that did an excellent job? Same thing with the interview. Let's say you go into an interview, all things being equal, all qualifications are there with you and another candidate. You go in and you don't stutter and you do okay. This other candidate goes in very clear, projects great confidence, great authority, very confident in what they're saying, very articulate. Who do you think is going to get the job? All things being equal, the person that's able to articulate with greater confidence, authority, and clarity, not the person that just doesn't stutter. Does that make sense? So, what differentiates what I'm doing with what maybe some other people out there is doing is I'm teaching you to go above and beyond just not stuttering. We don't even really focus on not stuttering. What we focus on is helping you become an excellent speaker, right? To have that kind of a mindset and to have those speaking skills so that you can project confidence, authority, clarity, that you can engage your audience so that people say, this person knows what they're talking about. Wow, that was awesome. Does this make sense? So let's talk about this immersion tool, okay? It's called the Pro90D 3.0 Focus Immersion Process, and there's a tool that goes along with it, right? So we're going to talk about the process first, and then we'll talk about the tool later, maybe in another video. And this is the absolute fastest way to free yourself to be able to say what you want to say. It's the fastest way is to immerse yourself. It's very much like if you wanted to learn a second language or a third language, right? For example, me, I'm learning Spanish, right? Estoy aprendiendo español. So I'm learning Spanish. And I know that there were some years ago when I went and I stayed in the Spanish-speaking country for a month or for 2 months or whatever, and my Spanish got really good. And I have a barber now who, when I go to the barbershop, we speak Spanish. And so it's helping my Spanish. It's not perfect yet, still have a long ways to go. But if I immerse myself, that is, if I read Spanish, I watch it, I listen to it, I speak it on a regular basis, guess what happens to my Spanish? It gets better. it gets to the place where slowly but surely I don't have to think about and translate every single word. That is, my brain doesn't have to work as hard. My neocortex, right, that front part of my brain here, that's the executive center, that's very conscious and makes decisions and makes choices and so on, doesn't have to work as hard in thinking about, well, how do I say this? How do I say it? It starts to become automatic. It starts to become automatic and natural, right? And that's how language works. That's how learning works. When you immerse yourself in something, what you're doing is you are giving yourself the very best opportunity. You're giving your brain, those nerve cells, those neurons, the very best opportunity to establish a connection and to strengthen that connection. That's what's going on when we learn something. That's what's going on when we're developing a habit. Nerve cells, neurons, are firing together, right? They're firing together. There's actual little electrical impulses firing together in areas of your brain that manage whatever that activity is, whatever those thoughts are. They're firing together until they do what we call wire together. They establish a relationship. And then the more they fire together, the stronger the relationship becomes. And what you experience when this relationship becomes strong is that it becomes easier for you to do. It becomes more natural for you to do until it gets to the place where you reach what we call automaticity, where you don't have to think about it. It's automatic. And this can take anywhere from 18 days to about 254 days. That's about 8.5 months or so. So when we're talking about changing the way you think, changing your beliefs, changing your speech, do you think we're just talking about 18 days or 21 days or 30 days or 60 days or even 90 days? No, we're talking sometimes 8, 9 months to a year to multiple years. But we're not just talking about taking that long before you don't stutter. We're talking about taking that long before you become a superior speaker. I work with people, I have worked with people, a handful of people, in fact, I can count them, people who I've coached who literally in less than 90 days, some of whom had severe stutters, have gone on to win speaking events like Toastmasters. And you'll hear me say this story because it's so incredible. Severe stutterer goes in, wins Toastmasters. Now, you say, well, yeah, okay, well, that's good for giving presentations. What about conversations? Well, now this person has gotten 2 to 3 promotions. This person is working on their PhD so they can become a teacher. Have another person went in, kept winning Toastmasters events, has gotten a couple of jobs since then, got a job making $10,000 more. I can go on and on and on talking about people whose speech dramatically improved in less than 90 days. Now, that doesn't mean you're done. You have to continue the process. You're immersing yourself for a period of time. So let's talk about the process. This process, and this is video 1, and there's going to be essentially 3 videos, okay? This process has to do with 3 basic steps, if you will, 3 basic steps or phases that you're kind of always going through. You're learning, you're practicing, and you're using. So let's pull up this slide here. You're learning, you're practicing, and you're using. So let's talk about changing your brain. Takes time, as we just said, right? It takes time. It requires consistent and focused effort over time. So don't think you're going to just listen to some audios, watch some videos, practice a few times a week, and you're going to make the change. Chances are it's going to go slow, and you're not going to make the changes that you want. You got to immerse yourself if you want to make the change as quickly as possible. And if you want it to take years, then you can take your time. And that's okay too, if that's what you want. But if you want to improve your speech, you want to improve your confidence as quickly as possible, whatever time frame that is, you're going to need to immerse yourself. So this takes time. The immersion process will help you replace your current mindset, like we talked about, right? Replace your current mindset and speaking style so that you're free to say what you want with confidence. Free. I want you to think about that word for just a moment. So that you're free. I remember when I was in seminary, that's a master's degree for people that are going into any kind of ministry. This was a 3 or 4 year program. And I remember my first or second year, I literally felt this freedom where I literally said to myself, wow, you know what? I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want to do now. I don't feel bound by stuttering. I don't feel limited like, well, I can't take that job. That's going to require me to present. That's going to require me to answer the phone. No, I was like, man, I can do whatever I want. Now, did that mean that I didn't get stuck? No, absolutely not. I want you to remember this. Everyone gets stuck. Everyone has disfluencies from time to time. I was talking to someone today, and they were repeating themselves several times. Essentially, they were stuttering, right? But they don't view it in that way, and they don't respond to it. It doesn't impact them in the same way. So a part of this process is changing how you view your speech and how it impacts you. So I remember feeling free. Don't you want to feel free? Don't you want to feel free to be able to do whatever you want to do without being afraid of, am I going to be able to do it? In fact, where you want to enjoy speaking, enjoy conversations, enjoy speaking up in meetings, enjoy saying what you want to say. If stuttering has been holding you back, has been interfering with your success, immersing yourself in this process is the way to do it. So you learn, you practice, and you use. You learn something. How do you learn it? Well, I have a series of audios and videos in this immersion tool that we'll look at in the next video. A series of audios and videos that you'll listen to on a regular basis. So you're learning information. You're learning through what you see. You're learning through what you hear. You're learning through what you actually say when you practice, right? You also learn from your experiences. So you're learning. Then you're practicing. Now, some people don't want to practice, so you're practicing. And I'm going to give you a specific format for you to practice in that one of my clients asked me to build for them. You'll see that in the next video. And then you're using, now listen to this. This is the one that people want to skip out on. You got to go use it under pressure. You can sit at home and you can learn and practice and you can become quite fluent by yourself or even with your family and some of your friends. But it's when you get out there under pressure that you have to use what you've learned and practice. That's when it gets tough. That's when it starts to break down. But that's normal. You got to get out there and try to use what you're learning under pressure until you've desensitized yourself to the fear, to the anxiety, to the nervousness. Till you've desensitized yourself and you've taught yourself how to speak well under pressure, right? How to speak well in front of authority. And the only way you do it is through it. The only way you do it is through it. You've got to get in it, you got to go through it in order to do it. Okay? You like that, right? So, you got to get out there and use everything that you're learning in real life situations. So if you're limiting yourself even though you're going through this program, you're not going to get the full benefits. So today, we talked about immersion, what that means, immersing yourself in this process, just like in learning a second language. This is almost exactly like learning a second language. You got to immerse yourself if you really want to get it. We talked about learning by watching, by listening, by experiencing. You got to learn, right? All the answers that you're looking for are generally in the videos and in the audios that I've recorded. Why? Because it's a compilation of the thousands of hours that I've spent working with people. The answers are there. You got to get into it though, right? You got to practice. That's what also builds those connections, right? Builds those connections. You got to practice it. So that when you tell yourself, I want to speak like this, I want to do this, your brain knows how to do it. Why? Because you've practiced. And then you got to use it, right? You got to get out there, put yourself under pressure, and use it. In the next video, I'm going to be taking you through an actual tool, right? A tool, and when I say a tool, I really mean a process for changing your mindset. We're going to talk about changing your mindset. And you can do all of this with the immersion tool, okay? So I'll see you in the next video.